Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of Avero Live. Today we're talking about a very special topic, AI. Yes, not because it's the buzzword of the year so far, but also because of some real things. I've attended two back-to-back conferences in the last 2 weeks. The first one was the ICMA conference, the annual conference in Tampa, where I saw a lot of you and interacted with you, which was great fun, which is always one of the best things about going to conferences. And then the second one was the GovAI conference, the coalition conference in San Jose last week, which was pretty fascinating because it was a small gathering compared to ICMA or GFOA or any of the bigger conferences we go to, and got to meet a lot of great um, government officials that are very passionate about what they do, and obviously wondering how AI can leverage their passion into uh, better services for their constituents and for better workflows for their staff. Good morning, all. Thank you for joining today. Let me know in the chat box where you're calling from or joining from. Good morning, Joe. Hey, Megan. Um, and then ask me questions as we go along. This is going to be interactive. I'm hoping. I don't like speaking into the void, so ask me questions. Call me out because I'm going to be making some tall claims here on the state of affairs in GovTech AI. Um, so we go live every Wednesday. This live stream will turn into podcasts, blog posts, and other material that is available on our website, on our social platforms. So please go take advantage of that. Uh, if you're a client or not, doesn't matter. We're putting things out there to make sure we are putting our best foot forward for the benefit of our clients and prospects and for the general market in general. So without further ado, I'm going to kick this off. I'm going to share my screen, put a quick little presentation together using AI last night. Gamma is my favorite presentation tool. And I want to talk about the GovAI Coalition Summit last week. And this also applies to the previous conferences that we've attended this year. GFOA, ICMA, local chapter conferences. We've been to some vendor events and user conferences. So the themes are common, the themes are generic, but my latest data set is from the GovAI Coalition Summit that was held in San Jose last week. Again, a great organization that was started by the city of San Jose as a beating heart of Silicon Valley. They took the charge and took that pole position on bringing other government agencies together to think through how do you standardize, how do you procure, how do you make sure that AI remains secure, and how does it work in the context of local government. So large and small cities, large and small utilities, all kinds of agencies were present, along with vendors who are coming up with brand new products or that have had products in the market but are now producing them with AI capabilities. Um, it was a pretty expensive conference to go to if you're a vendor. So the way that it worked was certain levels of sponsorship allowed you to get in front of the audience more. For example, the keynote sessions over the 2 days that we were there were pretty pricey. I'm talking about double-digit thousands of dollars, uh, more than 20,000. To have a booth was about $13,000. And then to be on a panel was like somewhere in between that. So we went just as an attendee. My purpose in going to this conference was to be a fly on the wall, really, to see what's going on in the industry, see how we fit in, because that's something that's constantly on my mind as we attempt to deliver high quality consulting services to our um, audience, which is local governments. So, how is AI going to impact consulting? How is AI going to impact ERP? How is AI going to impact overall technology, consulting, and service delivery? Uh, Joe, I'm going to take your question. Which conference would you recommend for future attendance? I think this the GovAI Coalition is a good one, especially if you're just talking about AI. if you want a focus conference around AI, that is a good one because they curate it really well. Um, it's led by local governments, and you're not just bombarded by sales pitches left and right. There's a few um, vendors in attendance, but majority of them are people like you, Joe, that want to um, leverage knowledge in the industry to do better stuff for your community or organization. But anyway, moving on. So what I'm trying to do today is separate the signal from the noise in government AI. And I'm going to display a QR code. I spoke at ICMA a couple of weeks ago, and the topic of conversation was how do you build trust in local government using technology? And the Q&A naturally led to a lot of discussion around AI. So we put a white paper out. It's out there right now. It's on your screen. Just scan the QR code. That will allow you to download this white paper that talks about how do you leverage AI effectively and methodically to not only enhance your workflows and automate them, but also how does that lead to building trust within the community? Because if you're a local government agency, you're in the business of uh, building trust, keeping trust, and not losing trust. So trust is lost by small interactions, your permits being late, you not being able to identify exactly where you stand in the public housing waiting list, and things like that. So death by small paper cuts is how you lose trust. So this paper walks you through how you can build that moat around you using technology or even AI to make sure you're not at least losing trust in the community. So anyway, so that paper is really useful. Please take advantage of that. So what's going on in GovTech AI and what we found. So what we'll cover today is the first one is the AI gold rush. Everybody wants to be in AI. Every vendor, um, uh, every contractor, every consultant, everyone wants to be seen as the AI player, right? We'll talk about what that looks like. Um, Custom software, the horrible term from for the last 20 years. No one wants to talk about custom software. Guess what? It's making a big comeback. It's coming back with a vengeance, and it's disguised as AI products. We'll talk about what good vendors and products look like. What should you be looking for as you sort of try and cut through the noise of, I don't know, thousands of products that are out there that claim to be able to solve all of your problems. Um, we'll talk about some real success stories I learned about while in San Jose. We'll talk about red flags to avoid. How do you start right? And we'll talk about some critical questions to ask. And again, just pop your questions in the chat box. Let me know what you're thinking, or if I've got any of this wrong. So to begin, it is an AI gold rush. But guess what? It's not necessarily a technology gold rush. It's a gold rush to get to the client first. It's a gold rush to get to the prospects first. And therefore, it is a marketing gold rush. Millions of dollars are being spent and raised by companies that claim to be AI this or AI that. Now, granted, I'm not knocking everybody. There's a lot of great companies that are doing wonderful work in AI. But because it's a gold rush, a lot of legacy vendors, a lot of legacy software providers, legacy consultants are now AI. Their products are labeled as AI. Their services are labeled as AI. And we're doing some of that too because we are actually producing and providing AI services. Um, but there's a lot of money. 66% increase in AI funding requests across budget cycles in local government. Uh, but that doesn't count the amount of private equity and venture capital funding that's going into products that are anything to do with AI. And the stories and the use cases are not very clear for the most part, but the money is there. For example, at International City County Manager Conference in Tampa a couple of weeks ago, lots of new players, flashy logos, flashy advertising. That got me thinking about what this is. It's a marketing race. Who can raise the most money? Who can make the biggest noise? Who can get in front of the client, ask them what their problems are, and then try and solve them? using AI or not. Instant rebranding, legacy vendors are now suddenly AI providers. Again, can't name names, but what used to be a cloud services company or a SaaS company is now an AI company. Um, and then experts, experts that are speaking at these conferences, these were the experts that were speaking at crypto conferences. They were at blockchain conferences. They're now AI experts. So take it with a grain of salt when you go to conferences and you're speaking to or listening to a panel of experts that they're experts in AI right now because that is the flavor of the month. I'm not saying everybody's like that, just things to watch out for. Okay, this is you're tuning into the good, bad, and the ugly of the state of affairs in GovTech AI. So the second thing I want to talk about is the custom software trap. And those of you that are CIOs that have been in charge of enterprise stacks for cities, counties, housing authorities, utilities, you know that custom software is the death knell. When you're buying an off-the-shelf, commercially off-the-shelf available software product, which is software as a service, it's in the cloud, you expect it to work. The trade-off is that you don't get to customize it exactly the way you want it. You can configure things, you can configure workflows. And so we moved away from custom software. Think about it. 20 years ago, you had an army of software engineers in your basement configuring and building your ERP system that then became legacy tech debt, technology debt, right? 20 years on, you brought in people like us to help you modernize and get away from super extreme custom software that didn't play with anything else, that only one or two people knew how to operate. And it was a huge problem because how do you go from that to something in the cloud, something software as a service, and take advantage of these modern technologies? It was a very heavy lift, and a big part of the complexity was custom software that, again, was not documented well. Only one or two people who probably had retired by now knew how to run it, and you were held hostage by this super custom product. Then we went into the cloud era, the SaaS era, and you traded that off with software as a service, where you told the vendor, I'm going to hold you responsible for advancements, keeping the software up to date, making sure it's backed up, that it's redundant, that is cyber secure. And on the ground, we are going to take care of infrastructure, cybersecurity, and our end users. Cut to 2025. What we're seeing now is custom software development, which is not a new thing, right? You even though it was a bad word, it's always been pitched to you. You have a problem, we'll solve it for you through custom software. And now all of a sudden it is AI. Tell me your problem and we'll AI it for you. No, it's you're building software. Maybe you're using AI to build the software. Maybe there's a small component of the software that is going to have actual AI in it, doing the thing for you. But again, at conferences, when a vendor is saying, tell me all your problems and we can solve it with AI, I don't buy that. You're solving it with custom development. Now, that is going to make your shadow IT problem even bigger. It's going to get out of hand because the next iteration of building custom software is your end users are going to have the ability to build custom software using tools like Replit or Lovable, or even within closed ecosystems like major ERP vendors or software providers like Workday, Oracle. They have AI built in. They're talking about letting users have the ability to configure their own, mini apps that do the thing for them. So slightly different story, but if you let your end users build their own products outside of your major ERP or enterprise system, as an IT director, as a CIO, you are going to run into the problem of how do you keep track of all of these um, custom products that are not only being bought but are being created internally. So um, the pitch tends to be, we can build custom AI solutions for any problem your agency faces. Now, the universe of problems to be solved in local government has not changed. It hasn't. It's been the same. AI can't suddenly solve all of them at the same time, right? So when you go into an agency and say, tell me all your problems, and we can AI the heck out of it. As a CIO, as an executive director, whatever your executive title is, you should be skeptical of these claims because at the end of the day, it is a software implementation. At the end of the day, if you haven't done the non-sexy work of thinking through your vision, how you want your organization to operate, how do you want software to help you get to that point, you can't just AI it, okay? So custom development is back with a vengeance under the guise of AI. It's not a blanket statement, but a lot of that's going on, and it's hard to discern what's what. What's true AI product, what's not, right? You slap another logo on an open AI stack and call it your own product because now you have a chatbot that doesn't look like OpenAI, but you're charging, 10 or 100x of what ChatGPT charges for the same functionality. Uh, there's several things to look out for. So what happens when you have custom software? You own it, you're responsible for it, you have to maintain it, you integrate it yourself, and then you're stuck with it. Because the promise of micro SaaS is good if done right. If you're trying to solve a very specific problem with custom software that no one else in your ecosystem can solve or is willing to, there's a case to be made there. But any problem, all problems, I'm very skeptical. At the end of the day, it's still a software project. Hands down, that's it, right? You can't skip the fundamentals. You cannot skip the pieces of the project that don't seem as exciting. Strategy setting, baseline metrics. Do you have the data in the right spots? Is your data clean? How's your data hygiene? Is it worth even bringing old data over? Are you going to train an AI, large language model, or something else on bad data and get bad results? Process optimization. How does this fit into your overall work stream? And what is it going to do to people who are in that work stream? The story is, it enhances people's ability to do strategic work, but not everybody in your work stream does strategic work. So what stories are being told to you that take away from the fact that this is still a software project? Still a software project. AI or not, AI is a small piece of the problem that is being solved, right? You're still trying to take a problem you have and apply software to it. And there's no magic bullet. It's still a software project. That brings me to change management, process optimization, change management. Another huge component. What happens to people who have been doing the same job using the same tool sets for the last 20, 30 years? When we do ERP implementations, OCM is a huge and a very important part of the implementation workstream. We take good care to make sure that the people that will be using these systems are aware, informed, that they are bought in, that they know about the project, they know about the product, and they know what's going to happen to their specific job with the new system. And we need to take the same amount of care with AI projects, if not more, right? It's nothing different. There is no silver bullet kind of called AI. It is a component of a modern software stack. Got a comment. Conversation around AI often comes down to value. What were some of the most compelling examples you heard of AI delivering measurable ROI in government operations? I mean, several, and I've got some examples coming up. Really, anything that helps you with customer service and relationship with your constituents, a great start. And there's some great stories about that in the market. Anything that helps you automate mundane tasks like council or board or commission meeting minutes and making sure that all of the things from all your different systems flow into your council agendas. Simple sounding stuff, but these are products that have picked a specific lane. And yeah, that may be the starting point, but they know what problem they're solving. They're not asking the client what your problems are. So what does legitimate I should probably call this legitimate partners or products look like. Worth your attention. Anybody that has a lot of experience in the GovTech sector, in local government, um, because it's not apples to apples. You could have done some really special things in the private sector and industry with AI or not, and then try and apply that same logic or methodology to the public sector. Doesn't necessarily work. The other big missing piece in the market right now is deep local government expertise. Um, this was a comment made by one of the panelists who is a CIO at a large agency in California. He said, yeah, I get pitched all day about how AI can solve all of my problems, but not many of these people that are pitching these solutions to me actually understand the business of government. They don't understand the procurement cycles, the budgeting cycles, the audit rules, accounting rules, you name it. There's thousands of things that are very unique to local government that are not unique, that are not, experienced in the private sector. So make sure that whoever you're considering buying from or talking to has that background in government. I also like vendors that have picked a specific lane. Like I said, deep expertise in CRM. They're leveraging that into customer service automation for governments using chatbots, using voice, and then they're layering in GIS and other systems that the chatbots interact with. They've picked a lane. They're not saying, "Tell me your problems, I'll solve them all." They're not trying to go into every domain at the same time. Third, treating client problems as their own. Again, in the software world, I can talk myself hoarse about horror stories on when a vendor is not a partner, when they're selling you something to meet a certain goal, financial or otherwise, and they don't care about how this ends up for you. Now, this is hard to discern in this AI race because it's too soon, too new. Not many finished projects out there, but you know a good vendor and a partner when you see one. They should be able to tell you when they cannot do a certain thing for you, when their solution is not a good fit, right? Then it's not a free-for-all. And again, I'll double down on deep government expertise. Inside government, around government, sold to government. That is going to be key because this is not about how well you know the AI or an LLM or which stack you know best. Do you know the business of government? Do you know how budgeting works? Do you know how accounting works? Do you know how purchasing works? Um, do you know how legislative processes work? Do you know how CRM works? Meaning, what kind of services are people looking for? It's not about saving money. Yes, it is, but it's about efficiency and giving constituents the right tools to interact with your agency. Hey, Brett, nice to see you here. Morning. Thanks for your comments. In government, the first steps should be data cleanup and access. Any new shiny toys you put in a dirty toolbox provides dirty results. Second is the security of AI systems in your environment. Absolutely bang on, Brett. Thank you. And I know that you're working on data cleanups at your city, so that was really good to hear. And then Brett loves the analogy. Investment only pays off when you have clarity around ownership, accountability, and measurable outcomes. Otherwise, AI just becomes another line item without strategic value. Yeah, probably worse than any other software you bought because it's a black box in many cases, right? If you don't understand how the thing that you're using actually works in the back end and no one can explain that to you, it's even more dangerous. So security, very, very key. So real results. What did I see in San Jose that I liked? Like I said, vendors that have picked their lane, they're doing really well within a certain domain, going deep, and actually producing results. Like San Jose had some really great stories. The city of they've gotten 10 to 20% efficiency gains across pilot departments, and they actually launched while I was there. The mayor of San Jose announced that he's launching a training program for everybody that lives in San Jose. It's called AI for All. Go look it up. And it was a very, very good initiative. I don't know the exact details and ins and outs of it, but what San Jose is doing is pretty revolutionary in terms of local GovAI. Um, San Francisco's doing a lot of pilots. And the common patterns in all of these, right? These are just examples. That there's a lot of great examples of contained, well thought out pilots. The common patterns are they're focused on specific bounded problems. There's a box around the problem. They're not trying to solve it all. In fact, one of the vendors that spoke at a keynote speak, I think, said that open it up to everybody, give AI to everybody. I get it from a fundamental base level standpoint. Um, yeah, everybody should be using GPT, um, Claude, whatever for day to day work, writing emails, researching, and things like that. Yes, everybody should have access to that. But giving everybody access to things they can build on is not quite there yet. Again, the problems that CIOs have always faced is shadow IT, that when it doesn't work, they get blamed for. So this is going to make it worse, if not controlled and handled properly. Um, Again, successful projects or pilots that have established baselines early, they know what to look for, and they adjust based on these baselines. They've optimized existing processes before AI integration. Processes may be broken. With or without technology, they're not going to produce the results, right? So how do you now leverage technology, including AI, to improve your processes? And you have to define that. So one of the services we might be offering is pilot design. We don't sell AI product, but if you're going through a pilot, if you're thinking about a pilot with a specific provider, look, the thing is, the vendors, the software providers want to sell you the thing and get out of there. They're not in the business of consulting. They're not in the business of helping you identify what your problems are, or defining the problem, or changing business processes. What they want is a ready client that is available now to take advantage of what they're offering. So one of the things that we do well is business process redesign, testing, and natural extension of that is pilot design. I think that's something we're going to put out here pretty soon. And then the last thing is they prioritize training and change management effort. 100% critical. Again, it's AI in the back end, but for the lay employee, staff person, who cares? Can they do their job easily in a more automated fashion? And how do they get there? Training is going to be very important, and change management is also. At the end of the day, people are people, AI or not, you have to deal with people that will be using your systems, taking advantage of any of these products that are being offered right now. Joe LaCroix has something to say. What are we saying, Joe? Joe says, time savings for redundant data input or analysis. That is compelling, but is it any more compelling that simple automation which can be done with most ERP systems already? Not really, Joe. I mean, that's the key question. What is AI doing in this product that you're selling to me? Is it crunching data in the back end? Is it automating workflows? Is it giving you insights for what might happen next? What flavor of AI is being used? Because it's being sold as a package. Like it's just a catch-all term now for custom development. One of the speakers at the San Jose conference kept saying, when you buy the AI, this will happen. When you buy the AI, that might happen. What is the AI? There is no such thing. You're either building product using AI, or you're baking AI into your product that already exists, and it's not very clear how it really differentiates from general automation or RPA and things like that. Okay, so what is the success formula? 80 to 90% vendor solution plus internal customizations. Do's and don'ts. Don't build everything from scratch, custom. Buy everything off the shelf without adoption or adaptation. Don't deploy technology without process changes. Again, this is stuff I've been saying for years. Don't skip training and expect adoption. Instead, Let's start with proven platforms and customize strategically. Now, one of the other things that kind of stood out last week um, was that no one was really talking about enterprise systems. You're almost taking AI as the silver bullet that's going to solve any other problems you might be having, right? You might have an ERP system or a financial solution that hasn't been working optimally. And now you go to conferences like this and there's vendors saying, yeah, I can solve this. Forget about that. But that and this need to talk to each other. The data exists there. The workflows are in your legacy systems. How do you bring it into the AI era? So start there. Look at what you have today. Have a strategy for how you're going to modernize, and then take advantage of wherever AI might fit into the solution. Um, Optimize workflows, invest in comprehensive change management. I cannot say enough about that. That is going to be the key as we sort of fall for slick marketing, buy things that may or may not work. Um, it's the Wild West. A lot of people are selling the thing and then figuring out how to build it. Um, and again, this is nothing different than the custom development wave from 20 years ago, except it's called AI now. Um, Specific use cases. Design your pilots so that, or trials, so that you're solving a very specific use case with an end date and an end state in mind. Right? The definition of a project is something that has a defined scope and it ends at some point. So a pilot should not be an ongoing thing. It should be a very specific phase. You need to have measurable baselines. What are you trying to solve? How do you quantify it? And how do you know? How will you know it when you're successful? Optimize processes first, and then invest in training, not just buy and deploy. Upskill. People are very nervous about what's going to happen to them overall, um, not just in GovTech, everywhere, right? So how do you give the people that will actually be using these tools that are responsible for the outcomes? How do you give them the tools and the training to use them best? All right, Joe, you're on fire. You're saying bad data is so prolific everywhere, even with a clean slate. How long does it take to get dirty? Weeks, months, a year? What a great comment, Joe. I don't know. It can be weeks, right? If you don't have the data governance in place, because again, cleaning it once doesn't mean it's done. You have to then keep it clean. You have to have the governance systems and processes in place that make sure that it doesn't get dirty again, and mechanisms by which to gauge how dirty or not your um, data is. See you, Brett. Joe, you got to talk to Brett. He's doing some great work on data cleanups. What are vendor red flags? Run away when you see these warning signs. Again, nothing new. We've been talking about these things for years. In the context of AI, it's not different. One size fits all solutions. Our platform works for everybody. It can do anything. No, it doesn't. You need context and scale. You need subject matter expertise. You need a deep understanding of how government works. And not all governments are the same. It could be this. It could be in the same county, two different towns or cities, and you're doing completely different things. Uh, Utilities are different from housing authorities. Electric utilities are different from water utilities. There's several flavors of local government, and there is no one size fits all. The just buy this approach, right? No discovery process, no IT lift. There's vendors out there saying our product does not require an IT lift. What do you mean? Where do you think data lives? Where do you think connectivity lives? Who do you think is going to put this together and maintain this? Who do you think vendors are going to call when your chatbot doesn't work? They call IT. So just by this, you don't need IT involved. One of the more flagrant statements that is being made. We solve everything claims, of course, jack of all trades, master of none. How can you solve everything? Again, the universe of problems to be solved in government has not changed. AI is not a silver bullet. So if someone's making those claims, stop and ask how, right? And you'll probably find out that they will discover what your problems are and pitch you some custom solutions. AI is not the same. It's not the same. Heavy funding, zero track record. Again, like I said, lots of new players, lots of funding, private equity, venture capital pouring into not just AI, but AI in local government. And a lot of these newish companies don't have a track record. Um, they're just looking for a big exit in a couple of years. No public sector experience. If you're in local government, yes, technology comes from private sector, the innovations come from the private sector, but the applications of these new products, they need a deep understanding of what your type of government agency does. So from that standpoint, this isn't even SaaS. Every time a vendor deploys a product to a new client, if they're doing it right, they have to go through a process of learning about your data, learning about your processes, training their models on it, and then deploying, then testing. What does it sound like? It sounds like an ERP implementation. Would you just buy an ERP product from an unknown vendor and say, hey, let's go? You say it's AI, it should work for us, because I've seen the commercials from Copilot uh, and how it claims to do everything for you. Um, Question from the audience: how do you think model level security, vulnerability to prompt injections, etc., should be considered in procurement? Ooh, model level security, prompt injections. Yeah, I think that to me that should go in the realm of um, security, because what you're asking about is if you buy a model or an AI product and so you put it on your website as a chatbot, there is a vector of attack now that can do prompt injections. We used to have code injections on our website. Now it's prompt injections that, if done right, and if your systems are not secure, you can open up your AI to corrupt prompts and training, and therefore produce bad results. So it really comes down to um, what your baseline of security is, how you define, how are you going to train this model, how close is it, which vendor are you using? So many unknowns, uh, but a great question. I don't know if I answered that 100%, but I will research and get back to you. It says LinkedIn user. All right, but if you can reach out to me separately, that'd be great too. And then there's the next thing I want to talk about is the black box problem. Um, Not many people know how AI actually works. I mean, you've seen interviews with the people that are controlling four of the major LLMs in the world, right? And they say, we don't know how this works. It just worked one day. We were trying to do AI for many years, and one day AI started working. So there's the black box that the rest of the vendor community uses to build their products on. And yes, it might be contained to you. Yes, it might be in your data center. It might be a very captive LLM. Suspect more often than not, it will still live in the cloud, be it Azure, Google, AWS, what have you. But it's interfacing with these giant LLMs that you don't know how they work. They just do, and you're running on the fact that those companies will not pull the rug out from under your product, or that they won't increase pricing, or that they will be around. Last week there was a lot of news articles about OpenAI and how they're overspending what they've raised, or how their valuations are sky high. And the CEO was on some podcast getting angry about the question about that. So there was speculation about how well that company is doing, right? And a majority of the world's AI stack lives on OpenAI. So uh, the black box problem is a difficult one to solve because there is no transparency. But what governments should demand is clear documentation of what data should be collected, stored, how is it trained, model explainability. This is something technical. Like when a vendor or software provider is pitching you their new and latest and greatest AI product, they should be able to explain how it works, and then they should be able to show you, not just tell you how this is going to work or what the roadmap is. And then audit trail of all AI decisions, which would be a huge audit trail, because if you've noticed how when you ask Perplexity or Grok to do a certain thing, it tells you what it's thinking and the decision it's making. And keeping track of all those decisions is what should be looked into. Overall, when you're buying AI products, now there was a lot of talk about how to procure AI services. Of course, most software providers don't want to go to RFP. A, because it's time consuming. B, because in an RFP you'll ask them about their product. They want their proprietary trade secrets to not be made public. So you're going to try and sell under your purchasing thresholds. And in the purchasing community, this conversation about um, how do you facilitate faster purchase of AI products, because they seem to be not as complicated. They're lower dollars. We still need to put them through the same rigor as a major, ERP software. My answer to that is yes, you do. You don't necessarily have to change your rules to be able to buy more product. AI or not, it's still a software product. Okay, vendors should be able to respond to requirements and explain how their product works, technically and business wise. So how do you start? This is a not all is lost, right? These are my observations. And what I've landed on is simply that this is not different than what we've been doing forever. You have to have the basics right. You have to think of this as an enterprise project. You have to consider risk, change management, business processes, all the above. And I'm putting the white paper link up again. This is a white paper we wrote about how do you build trust using technology, including AI, and why doing the basics is the most important thing, not the product itself. And I'm going to get texts and messages from my friends in the software provider community saying you said some wrong things and blah blah blah. But these are my thoughts, and I don't think anyone's talking about these things. So anyway, download the white paper. Lots of great stuff on there. Let's check the chat box and see what's going on here. Thomas Pena from Avero says, in this new massive AI landscape, AI marketing can feel diluted. How often have you seen these red flags from personal experience? Pretty much every day, Thomas. And that's the scary part. When you go to these massive conferences, like I said, there's a lot of money being poured into it. It's a marketing race. Whoever can tell a better story gets more eyeballs, gets more demos, gets more access to client problems, and then now we can produce the AI product that can solve all your problems. And Joe, good point. I don't see software vendors bringing clarity to the AI conversation. Lots of vague claims with their Enigma products. I don't know if it's in quotes, Joe. Are you calling someone out? Anyway, you can. So how do you start? If you're just starting, first of all, read that white paper I just sent you. Assess your foundation before procurement. There's also we also have a maturity assessment. I'm gonna put that out there too. Take that quiz, do the assessment, do the workbook, and identify where you stand. We've come up with 5 different models, 5 different maturity levels based on where you stand today. You need to understand where you are. Step number 1, what your maturity is for data governance. Do you have processes documented? How are you going to change processes based on whatever AI products you're buying? Again, this is not different than what you would do for an ERP project. What are your baseline metrics? What is your capacity for change? What else is going on in your organization that might impede a project like this? Again, this is enterprise-wide change, and organizations with clear baselines, documented processes, research shows 3 times more likely to succeed with any implementation. Forget AI implementation, any kind of implementation. And I go back to, again, this is not different than any other software implementation. Hey, Tom, good to see you. Question from Tom is, has your team encouraged clients to leverage AI in reviewing, evaluating RFP responses? Yes, we have. But there again, Tom, there are products out there that claim to be able to do this, but they're not fully baked, right? So, yeah, we're encouraging them. Yeah, we're using AI on our end to um, sort of speed up that process to increase the quality. But at the same time, we have to be mindful of what those engines are, and a lot more to come on that. I'd love to talk to you more on what we are doing on that front. But yes, short answer is we are using AI. All right, how do you start smart? Focus on low hanging fruit first. Great consultant response. Uh, Low hanging fruit, high value, low risk, measurable outcomes, and the use cases that come to mind are basic website chatbots, um, anything that helps you become more productive without having to interface or integrate with your legacy systems is a good starting point. So what I've seen successfully done, meeting transcription, council meetings, turning notes into agendas, into minutes quickly by ingesting data from things like Granicus and Tyler Munis and things like that. Translation services, right? Low-hanging fruit. If you're a housing authority or a utility in a large urban area, you're probably supporting 16 to 17 different languages like they do in San Jose. And you can't staff all of them. So huge use case for AI in that translation services. Document search, again, this is not that easy, but if you connect all of your data sources, again, if they're clean, if they're usable, you can have an AI that can help you with document search, contextual document search. There's some great products that I saw out there in San Jose that do just that. And then the purpose, really have a clear idea of why you're doing this, not just because you want to jump on the bandwagon. You're not being left behind. Don't fall for that marketing tactic. AI is not going to eat your job tomorrow. You are not going to get left behind. This is such an early uh, part of this evolution that slower is okay, especially for government agencies. Traditionally, you have had the privilege of going slower than the private industry, and that hasn't gone away. Yes, there are low-hanging fruit applications to AI that can solve your problems, but there's no need to panic. And if you're scaling AI, like if you've started with those small projects and done well with them, the next 4 critical actions to take: building cross-functional governance. Um, it's not IT's responsibility alone. Yeah, they'll get blamed when it fails, but um, across the board, across your organization, across functional groups, you need to build a coalition within your organization for how we're going to leverage AI. Uh, Demanding vendor transparency, vendor lock-in is a huge problem with uh, any kind of SaaS software, right? Because you're putting your data into the cloud, you're letting them host it. You're beholden to the change patterns on these products. Not all bad things, but the lock-in piece can be bad if you're not doing it right. With AI vendors, you can make that problem worse. So demanding vendor transparency on all things through your RFP process or contracting process, if you choose to do it without RFP, critically important. Planning for enterprise integration. This is what I was referring to. If you have Workday or Oracle or Tyler or Central Square as your main workhorse for your workflows, for your financials, for your ERP system, payroll, HR, and you're doing AI projects on the side, fine while it's in pilot phase. But you have to make sure that this is going to eventually integrate with your main data source, with your main, one source of truth is your ERP system. So having a plan is really important. It cannot work outside of your main systems. And budgeting for change management, project management, controls, change management. Uh, no matter how small your AI project is, the impact is massive. It's incredibly important for you to have efficient control mechanisms and change management as you go through this, through scaling your AI projects. So critical questions to ask vendors. 9 questions every RFP should include, or procurement process, right? And I'm glad some of my vendor friends are on. They can tell me to shut up. But product capabilities, obviously, show me your AI. What does it do? Where have you done this before? Um, and how do users understand AI recommendations? What happens when your AI makes a mistake? They'll tell you it doesn't hallucinate, but I'm not so sure, right? Walk me through error handling and correction processes. How does your solution integrate with other enterprise systems that we already have? Um, Government experience, failure modes. Do you have staff who actually work inside government, not just sold to them? Uh, Not as critically important, but good to know. Implementation support. What's your responsibility versus ours? Not just during implementation, but after. What does success look like? What's the definition of go live, like we always talk about? And how do you approach data governance, security, and change management in implementations? Just a few questions. Red flag responses, right? Again, we're talking about AI, but this is not different. You're trying to select an ERP. These questions are pretty pertinent and relevant. You don't need to worry about that. Yeah, no, not a good answer. I need to worry. It's my job to worry about it. Um, Dismissive responses are not good. This goes back to the black box problem. I don't need to be worried about it, but I need to know how it works. Our AI handles that automatically. Maybe, but if you don't understand the business of government and how processes should work, um, it's not going to handle it automatically. It might handle it, but it might not handle it right. Proprietary information, refusing to explain how AI makes decisions is unacceptable. Again, black box. We don't all know how it makes decisions. It's based on the training and whatnot, but there is a vendor-specific layer to every AI product that should be explainable. And then my favorite one is no IT lift needed. I don't buy that at all. Um, yeah, you're trying to sell it to the chief admin officer or CFO, but the training around the data, the setting up of the infrastructure, the training of the people that will be using it. Again, people are going to call your IT department when this doesn't work. So when I hear there is no IT lift needed, I don't buy it. I may be wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. But again, this is nothing different from any other procurement in the software realm. And I think that is it. I will stick around a couple more minutes if there's more questions. Let me look through the chat box here. I'm missing Vidu's question. There's a question from Vidu. Hey, Vidu. I'm not seeing it. Anyway. Yeah, I think I got it all. All the questions, answers. Thank you for joining me today. And thanks, Mikey. Mikey, I need to respond to your text. I will. Anyway, thank you again for joining today. I really enjoyed this session. We'll do more of these. As a bottom line, I'm going to leave you with this. You're not being left behind. There's no need to rush. Doing the right things from an enterprise standpoint has not changed. AI products are no different than any other software product. So treating them differently is maybe warranted from a novelty standpoint and really what it can do. in the grand scheme of things. But how you purchase, implement, and deploy and train your people on it is not different than any ERP, HCM, payroll system, any of that. It is enterprise-wide. You can't use AI to solve all your problems. But at the same time, you can't not think about your enterprise systems and how you leverage AI. There's a question, Mikey. Will AI completely take over technology firms? I don't think so. I think you need people. I mean, if you're saying if you're asking about AI replacing people, it's not even close. Take over technology firms from what they offer and what they're selling, maybe, yeah, because it is a marketing race. If a provider doesn't have the AI sticker on their website, uh, may not get taken seriously. But completely take over, probably not. Oh, Joe, thank you. Enigma, as in the black box of decryption. I should have got that. Thank you. All right, thank you for joining me. We'll see you again next week. And please get in touch if you want more information or more of these white papers. We do a great job of staying up to date on what the market's doing and bring all of that information to you. QR code again, scan it, read the white paper, tell me what you think. Again, this came out of my speech at the ICMA conference a couple of weeks ago in Tampa, and I look forward to more conversations. Have a great rest of the week, and we will see you soon. Thank you, guys.